Hello again, YouTube. It's me. I'm gonna build some headphones. Most of the components come in a couple of Ziploc bags. The drivers and the foam come in an envelope to help keep them flat. The first step is making sure you have all of the tools. Soldering iron, solder, tweezers, glue stick, scissors, and a Phillips head screwdriver. The screwdriver I'm using is a 2.5. In the manual it says to use number 1. Alright, let's get started. So part 1 is the drivers. Make sure you follow along the GitHub instructions. This video as a companion to that. There's these little plastic pegs that can go into the 2 holes located on here. So that will make it easy to line it up. So I've decided to use this lid just so I don't melt the cork. And the most important part is to really follow the steps. Pay attention and read and reread. There's so many minor, small things that you could miss, and it's really not worth the headache, especially if you screw up a critical step. So I just realized I soldered these with a big square right in the middle of the image, so apologies for that. So that's it, that's all the soldering. It's very easy to mess up the orientation according to the instructions, but I believe that's what you're looking for. These are the holes. They're both sort of angled like this. Step 2, flatten the driver board. Now I've sort of tried to do this already. I had this sitting underneath some books. Now we got to put some tape on. So you apply the tape to the same side the TRRS connector is on. Check the following step, step 5. To see how it ought to look, and it says to trim off any excess, but it's okay to have a little hanging off the side, and obviously don't touch the sticky part. Just a tiny sliver of that middle part showing, and a tiny bit along the outside too, but based on the pictures in the guide, that is probably okay. Okay, so I pretty much have the whole surface covered, and now's the part where I cut straight through the driver with my scissors. It's fairly nerve-wracking. I think this is done. I've cut all around the edges, and as you can see from the other side, pretty much everything is not visible on this side. Let's do the next driver. So I will overcut. So I'm trying to line it up with the outside edge. Flush to the edge as possible. So that's what one of them looks like. So we'll do the stems now. Looks like you just go for maximum coverage. So I get this sort of as low as I can on the stem. Sort of a lot of eyeballing in this step. That seems good. Now I'm gonna apply some firm pressure on all of the tape. That's how it activates. I'm pushing pretty hard. So they did bend a little. I've just bent them back slightly, and now they look pretty good. Okay, next step. Prepare to assemble the right driver. Right driver back, right driver inner ring, right driver outer ring, driver cap. This is where you put the magnets. Driver assembly jig, driver foam, right flex board. So the right one's the one that's pointing up to the right. 12 small screws, 4 big, 1 magnet with red on it, and 5 others. Flattened driver foam, I have already done that. I actually put the driver flex boards and the foam under a book for like some days. I just sort of left it there and forgot about it. So let's put this in here. Now note, it doesn't actually fit the other way. It's got some little lips on the edges and along the top and the bottom that are all the dimensions of that flex board. It's very clever. Place driver flex board into driver assembly jig. When you have it in there, it doesn't really move. This bottom part of the driver flex board sits perfectly in this hole. This is where you apply the bulk of your pressure just all around here. You don't want to go pushing anywhere along here. Really pointy tweezers here. So I'm going to do my best not to poke through anything. Do not touch the driver board once you remove the backing. It should be obvious, but don't do it. How do you not touch it? While also lifting. Don't touch it, but also make sure it's centered. Easy, right? Time for mom's spaghetti, everyone. I'm not feeling so good at the moment. Let me read this. I'm gonna read this a few times. So we lay it down, make sure that it's in the exact center, and don't press down. Exact center. That's hard. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this. I think that's centered. This is the no turning back, can't redo step. So this side has sort of a clip, like the exact size of the TRRS jack. Gently tap, but only where the driver is supported. You can sort of see it. So 10 times in the middle, gently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna do a couple more. 11, 12, 13, 14. 6 of the small screws. Okay, so that is what you're looking for at the end of the day. Align the driver inner ring with the driver back, and you just place it down. So I have not pushed down with any force. All of the screws are just sitting loosely in those holes. Push down with firm pressure with one hand. Meanwhile, your other hand screws in all 6 screws. You have to keep the same amount of pressure applied and do not lift up until all of the screws are screwed in. So, no pressure. Actually, pressure, but try to do it right. I'm pushing down, firm pressure. I'm trying to do sort of like a alternating pattern. Still applying the same amount of pressure. I'm going to make sure all of these screws are nice and tight. Okay, I did it. It says after this step is done, do not lift your driver up. So now you push down on the driver foam, but not on the stem. The stem's down here. I can still see the driver itself right here. Quite a firm amount of force coming up. After all that stress, I can press down super hard. A lot of force, a lot of blood pumping here. It says the driver assembly jig won't need much force to remove. That's true. Use a good amount of firm pressure to press the driver flex board into the driver foam. So now from the other side, this is what it looks like on the back. A good amount of force. I guess this is just in case you didn't push down on certain areas when you were doing it from the top. Use a pair of tweezers to press the stem. So you gently push the driver foam toward the stem and then push the stem into the foam, of course. Okay, so that's what it looks like at the end. It's like sort of indented here. Check the alignment in the driver back. So that's the alignment I have, which I think is pretty darn centered. Drop screws into driver outer ring. Okay. Same deal as before, but a lot less stressful. None of these screws are screwing in. I don't know what's happening here. Guess we'll try this one. Alright, looks like I was wrong. Yeah, this is also screwing in, huh? What do you know? So that's all screwed in. Magnets time. So, at the bottom, there's a marking, N and S. You'll see it here, north and south. You want to find the red magnet, and careful when you separate these things. They are extremely powerful and will like jump at anything that's metal. Put it red magnet side facing down toward the S. So S is here, N is here, red magnet is there. And I guess you want it to be fairly centered. Then you slide. So you see how this is sitting like next to the magnet? You need to push it until it's right on top of the magnet like this. It'll only sit on one way. You can try turning it, it won't go any other way. Then you keep it in that orientation and put it right next to the red magnet. Like that. And then you repeat the process over and over with all the other magnets. And so it's just to the side. Oop. No, there. You want it to sit flat because that sort of went here, like in between them. That's not what you want. You want it to be sitting flat on the magnet next to it. That goes in there. Okay. Really excited to see how these sound. Next one. Just got some flipping on it. Oh, of course. So gentle push. There. Sitting right on top of the one it's going next to. Do not twist it, do not turn it, just pull it out. Push it back in. It's really hard to take just two of them apart. Okay, next one. Okay, that one just snapped right on. So again, we can double check, test it. If it's sitting and really stuck on there, that's the orientation you need. I watched the videos a few times and read a lot of people's reports of magnet issues, and it seems to be a really common problem. So take care while you're doing this. It's easy to accidentally put it here and think, oh yeah, that's close enough. No, it's got to be right above it, stuck on, flat. So in theory, I did that correctly. I guess we'll find out when we put it all together. Note the orientation of the triangular logo on the driver cap. Yeah, so like the slightly longer side is sort of going down to the left. Use 4 of the big screws to screw down the driver cap. So I'm just going to put this in here. So theoretically, this will make sound if I plug something into here. How cool is that, guys? It's a headphone. We'll do the next one. So there's 2 drivers fully assembled. Next step, let's build some ear cups. Ear cup base, inner rings, or the smaller ones, outer rings, resonators, foams, and the woven covers. Practice inserting ear cup inner ring into the woven cover. So you open it like this. You put the ring in 3 millimeters or so. That's a tricky process. I feel like it'll be easier to do with glue, but made a point of making us practice, so maybe it's not. A generous amount of glue. I'm just going all around, sort of pushing down. So I think that's pretty good. Step 5 now. So there's a groove in here that this ring sits in. You have to sort of push it down into that groove. It's a bit of a maneuver. So I think that's good. There's like a little bit sticking out here. Now we flip it through. Place the foam in place, which is apparently like this. Place it flat onto your workspace. Stretch it around evenly, but don't stretch it too much. No matter how accurately you think you performed the previous step, you will have to adjust. I'm gonna pull a little harder. So you made a video showing how to do it. There's like, it's another groove, same as the other one. And I mean, the idea is you want to get it in there, but also don't put too much pressure on just one point. So to sort of support it, like that. Okay, so that's what it's gonna look like in the end. Resonator. So the resonator has like a lip, smaller part, bigger part. It only fits in one way. The resonator actually goes inside the ring, like that. So it should be flat here with the ring. It does take a decent amount of force to get that in. So we do it again. Prepare to insert ear cup into the driver. This part sounds easy. These three things go into these three things, and then you twist. So let's find a spot. Just loosely. There we go. Then I'll twist it. Just keeps turning. Is it supposed to keep turning? Oh yeah, okay. So there is like a tiny little, maybe you can hear it. That, right there. Just in here, there's a little nub. And I think that one nub is the one that's what you're hearing. Everything done. On to the next step. 2 driver holders, 2 headband sliders, 2 slider caps. I assume that's what these are. 8 dowels and 2 small screws. And this felt. Metal dowels into holders. Top, bottom, and insides. Quite a bit of force. If necessary, use a hammer. Ooh. Those go in quite easily. Okay, these ones require a little more force. So we want the smooth sides facing out, because why not? This goes in here. Is it important which side? No, not currently. Put the dowel in the hole. Attach the slider caps. I believe these are symmetrical. Yeah. There's a V here, and then there's a V-shaped hole. So they make it pretty obvious what you have to do. Screw it in. So it's screwed in now. Now we're gonna do some felt. It says this can be a bit tricky to do. I saw another poster. Tom Armstrong complain about this step. So I've been briefed. That wasn't too bad. Must have gotten a better batch of felt. Put it in the slot. Just gonna push it down. Okay. Repeat. Okay, so done. Set these up so that they're pointed like a V, like that, and these are the opposite. So the parts that sort of jut out are to the inside. So this is another one of those, do it quick, do it smooth. You got to pick a side, doesn't matter what. I'm gonna pick this dowel to go in here. There's some little raised bits here, and those sit inside of this to sort of allow it to swivel a little. So that goes in. And then this has to be quick, swift. Make sure this dowel is all the way in first, because you might have an issue with that. Quick, swift. Oh God, no. Okay, that was not as quick and swift as I hoped, but it was quick and swift enough. So now this sits like this. Don't force it, because then you'll break off these little plastic bits and you'll be sad. Next one. Headband plug tensioners. So these are the plugs. They have flat bottoms, so they have to be like this. Do not use a hammer. Huh. I wonder why. Why wouldn't we want to use a hammer? Okay, so these are just going in here. May require some force. Okay, I'll push down a little harder. Okay, so now there's a little blue bit sticking out here. I'll make a purple one here. Check if they're fully inserted by seeing those colored pieces sticking out. Insert the other plugs. Black one's going to be harder to see. Maybe better to ship only brightly colored ones. So these are all inserted and happy. It's like little monsters with eyes and teeth. Select clamping strength. All right, so there's circles and there's squares. I'm going to choose a square. And I normally use HD 25s, which have a pretty high clamping force. So you grab the headband caps. We were just using the plugs. Flatter, longer side pointing in. That just goes right in there. Headband foam goes underneath. So you want to stick it in this sort of corner bit. And it's just falling apart. This is a little fiddly. So you put this foam in, which then applies pressure, and it pushes those things out. Prepare the woven cover. Okay. Here we are. So he just sort of gathers it. It's like a sock. Tension bits are still in, still flush. The foam is also still in position, still relatively centered. So we put the plugs in now. Make sure you have a little extra 5 mils or so hanging over. Okay, so this goes in. So the little tension bits have come out, of course. So I'm just sort of holding on to everything to keep it in place. I'm pushing this in best I can. There's meant to be a little bulge here and here. That's where the foam sort of keeps your head from hitting the plastic. Screw it in. The screw goes into here, into this hole on the headband tensioner, but I would suggest not to screw it in that hard because I feel like I kind of stripped one a little. All right, that's it. So I don't think there's a front or back to the headband. It can just go in either side. So blue and black I'm gonna put here. This is just to insert. There should be quite a bit of resistance and a click. Let's listen. Yeah, there it is. Oh yeah, a lot of clicks. Brilliant. We did it. So on to part 5. So mine came like this, already tied up each ear. And it comes with one of these, which goes over the 2 braided cables. Oh, yes. Sorry, before we get here. Ploopy logos. Let's do it. I have to agree with Tom. These do make me think of Doritos. Okay, assemble the cable. Just sort of twisting it around. You can't slide it on. There's too much cable. Okay, now how do you know which is the right and which is the left? There's no labels anywhere. I guess you just test and then you see. Hey guys, we did it. All right, well, that's the build. A couple of real stressful parts, but for the most part, not so bad. Some fiddly things. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time I decide to build something. I hope we have some fun. Oh. Okay. Well, we're definitely gonna have some fun at this rate. That was just my soldering iron, don't worry. Hard to capture this because everything is black now. So black that the camera turned itself off.